Welcome back in Radio Row, Super Bowl 51 between the Patriots and the Falcons. Our coverage here for the big game in Houston is brought to you by Corona and Corona Light. And now joining us is the former kicker, Nick Lowery. Nick, great to see you, and how are you?
Corona Light. I don't drink beer usually, but if I do, I feel like that ad, you know. I don't drink beer, but when I do, I'm the most interesting man in the world. But I actually drink Corona Light.
There we go. So after you had like a big game, you wouldn't go home and drink a few beers?
No. But if we won, I would celebrate with friends, and that was awesome. Houston's Restaurant on the Plaza in Kansas City, if we were there. But I'm not really a beer drinker, but if I may not be the most interesting man in the world, but it is Corona Light.
All right, I was walking around here yesterday, and we're on in South Jersey and Philadelphia. And I know Buddy Ryan, for this story, wasn't the head coach of the Eagles, but he was defensive coordinator of, I believe, the Oilers, and he started talking smack with you before a game. Was that right?
No, what he did was he got his big fat belly over on the Kansas City Chiefs side of the 50 during training, which is inappropriate, shall we say, choreography. And so Marcus Allen, Derek Thomas, Joe Montana, Neil Smith, Danny Salamur, we just all started laughing. Like, this guy thinks he's going to intimidate the Kansas City Chiefs. So Houston had won 11 games in a row. We had so much talent and confidence. But one of my favorite moments, speaking of Buddy Ryan, is then there's a pass to Keith Cash, touchdown in the end zone, and there's a 30-foot square face of Buddy Ryan. And Keith Cash, it's like out of the movies. He stands up, he looks at Buddy Ryan's face, sits down, picks at the ball, and throws it right in Buddy Ryan's nose. And that's when I knew. I mean, I knew we were going to win anyway, but let's just say that's when I really knew we were going to win.
So with that thing, it didn't bother you, but was there ever a time someone like trash talked you and you were pretty annoyed about it?
You know what? As a kicker, you just have to deal with it. So in games, absolutely not. That doesn't do any good.
In terms of the mental game of kicking, because kicking, a lot of it is mental. When there's a big high-pressure kick, take me through what you're thinking.
Well, you know, it's sort of like what Tiger Woods told me when he used to play good golf, which is you trust what you do and you make it the same. The difference is that and this is for parents and coaches with kids in school or pros or college players, Pete Carroll with the Jets, this is what it was all about. Make practice as much like a game as possible. So for the kicker, give yourself the situation, the score, the smell, the sound. Every single kick has real meaning so that when you go out for a game, hey, I'm back at practice. And that's the key thing. So that when you're ready, that's your job as a kicker. You got to be the one that knows how to handle pressure.
When I sit home and watch a game now, and you always know if it's in the final 3 seconds and a team has a timeout left, they're going to ice the kicker. And a lot of kickers have told me they actually like getting iced because it gives them a free kick. Is that right?
The very good kickers are helped by being iced because they got more time to think about it, more time to line it up, to control their thoughts. Now, it may sound like if you have more time to think about it, you get in trouble. But what you do is, as a good kicker, you know how to manage your thoughts, and that's what you do. So I would never stay in the middle of the field. I'd run to the sidelines, kick it in the net, stick with my routine, and then I'd come back, and I'd be out there 10 seconds earlier than I normally would. Normally, you get out there with about 25 seconds left because the coach takes 5-10 seconds to decide. You got to run out the middle of the field. Now you've got more time. You line it up. So the good kickers, icing actually helps them.
Could it actually be a little bit of a distraction, though, just from the thought process of some coaches do it, some coaches don't, and maybe if a coach who is usually known for doing it, you're thinking going up there, okay, I'm going to kick the ball, but then it probably isn't going to count.
You don't anticipate anything. You just get ready to handle whatever happens, and that's, yeah, you're absolutely in trouble if you think something specific is going to happen. So you follow me?
Oh, no.
So yeah, you just take care of your kick and you get focused on it, and then if they try to ice you, they do. Frankly, I think it makes head coaches look like kind of weenies. You know, come on, man, seriously, that's the best you got.
Nick Lowery with us right now, greatest kicker of all time.
Well, thank you. I'll tell you what, there are a lot of great kickers out there. Gostkowski, Bailey. I think Justin Tucker with the Ravens is probably the best, but there are probably about 8 incredibly good kickers in the NFL now.
How about of all time? If you're looking at Adam Vinatieri, he's got to be the best ever, right?
Well, I'd like to think that Jan Stenerud, Morten Andersen, Nick Lowery, Adam Vinatieri, absolutely one of the greatest of all time because he did things in the most difficult situations. So he's one of my favorite of all time. Absolutely. And I should have mentioned him earlier. I mean, the guy at 44 is still kicking incredibly well.
The thing that annoys me the most with kickers, and the entire thing is they don't get respect. And to me, I know how important the role of a kicker is, and there should be more kickers in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I think kickers get more respect, but I think the difficulty in the NFL Hall of Fame is there are only 40 voters. And so there's so much pressure on them to, 1 year, one guy for each team, right? And then a few at large. So it's like I was asked to vote for your guy last year, so your guy better vote for me this year. So it pulls away from merit. And that's why guys like Dick Schaap and Michael Wilbon quit being Hall of Fame voters because it gets more political. And it's always going to be political, and there are good decisions that are made. But I think if they switched to 500 voters like baseball, you could probably get away from some of that.
For this Sunday, I'm tossing and turning every night thinking about who is going to win this game because I think these teams are so close. That makes me feel like this game is coming down to a special teams play.
Absolutely. I think that the Falcons are so incredibly well coached that they have a real shot. I think they're going to go ahead somewhere in the fourth quarter, and then Tom Brady and all that experience are going to come back and kind of do the reverse of what happened when the Eli Manning-led Giants came back and had the last shot and won. I think this time it's going to be Gostkowski, 45 yards, left hash, 32 seconds left. It's up. It's good. Can we talk about the MVP drive for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the MVP drive is, to me, I'm very passionate because it's going to potentially literally save 100 million concussions by accelerating the process of getting away from teammate on teammate tackling during the week in high school and college. This allows it. It's faster. It runs 19, 20 miles an hour. It stops on a dime. 8 NFL teams use it this year. We were just with Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs. They love it. What we want to do, though, is make it so it's affordable and available to 10,000 of the 20,000 high schools in the country in the next 5-6 years. That will literally save 100 million concussions and begin to dilute and diminish this talk about concussions being such a black cloud, which is a very serious thing. Mike Webster, my teammate for 2 years, Junior Seau, Dave Duerson, people I knew personally, I'm passionate about it because I want to do something that permanently cuts that playing field in half at least. There'll always be concussions in football, but it still remains the best sport in America and the best sport to teach integrity, hard work, toughness, teamwork, coming back from adversity, all the most important things, to be able to focus when it's difficult, when you're freezing your butt off, and to do your job even when it's not easy.
And that's the thing I've been talking about all week because I played football growing up, and the game does teach you.
Man.
Yes, I am a big man. That's an understatement. But the game of football does teach you a lot of life lessons. And I didn't go on to play college. I just played in high school, and I really liked the game. And it's upsetting when there's some parents, and I understand the argument because concussions are a very scary thing, and you want your kid to be 110% healthy. I understand both sides of the argument, but when you have things like this, it helps that side of the argument of, okay, let's get more kids to playing football. And just right now, I fear for the future of the game. I don't think the game's going anywhere right now, but I fear for the future of the game because there are a lot of parents that aren't letting their kids play football anymore.
Well, there's a 30% migration out of the game. Soccer voted last year in November of 2015 to eliminate all heading for kids 11 and under. And actually, women are 3 times more likely to get concussions because of the structure and support of their neck. So it's a very serious issue. But we're doing all the things in the medicine. We're having a big event February 11th with my Stronger, Safer Sports and the Concussions 2017 Summit in Arizona with Buddy Tevens and the Dartmouth Way and the top doctors like Chris Giza and Javier Cardenas and Hirsch Handmaker and P. David Adelson, all the experts. So we're doing the right thing on the medical side. But this thing right here, the MVP drive, is going to be the answer because it's going to eliminate teammate on teammate tackling. And so suddenly, imagine when only maybe a quarter of the parents that saw their kid get injured in football, suddenly only a quarter of them are seeing that. It changes the dynamic. And we want kids to enjoy the sport for the sport itself, not for worrying about, serious injuries.
How'd you get involved with this?
Well, Buddy Stevens was my holder on the field goal team and the quarterback at Dartmouth College, and he's just a true leader. He runs the Manning passing camp for a reason every year, evaluating and encouraging the top 20, 30, 40 quarterbacks in the country, and he asked the Dartmouth Engineering School to develop it. So Dartmouth College, I also went to Harvard Graduate School, but Dartmouth is one of the leaders for the right reason. It's looking at a need and it's addressing it. And this is going to be, we're going to look back and say this is the reason that football continued to grow in popularity.
Wait, you went to Harvard? Say that again?
I went to Harvard Graduate School, the Kennedy School of Government, after I went to Dartmouth undergrad.
Now, you always know the question is, football player, they always assume a dumb jock. How the heck did you go to Harvard?
Well, it doesn't mean I'm smart because I went to Harvard. The wisdom to me has nothing to do with academics. It has to do with being able to apply all of your resources and your values to see a need and address it and solve a problem. And anybody can do that, and that's my passion. But going to Harvard was just, to me, an exclamation mark to say my football career is over and I want to continue to do good things in the world. And if we can help reduce concussions by 50 and 60% permanently, that's a huge thing.
Nick Lowery with us on Radio Row. I got two more for you. You played with Joe Montana, and I know it was towards the end of his career in Kansas City. What was that like to watch him play, though?
Playing with Joe Montana was, it was like having a rock star on your team, but he was so humble and so laid back, and it made it even fun. We were already a really good team. We've been in the playoffs every year since 1990, but he comes there in '93. Marcus Allen's there, Neil Smith, Derek Thomas. We had so much confidence. Marty Schottenheimer, the single most underrated head coach in NFL history. We had a hell of a team, and just it made us that much more confident. So, 23 years ago, Joe Montana leads us down the field. We're down by 7 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers. With 1 minute and 30 seconds left, he throws a touchdown pass on 4th down to Tim Barnett. I kick the extra point, we go to overtime, and I'm lucky enough to kick the game-winning field goal. Joe Montana, unlike most other quarterbacks, with other quarterbacks you say, I think we're going to do it, I hope we're going to do it, we're probably going to do it. With Joe Montana, you just know he's going to find a way. And that was, there's no other Joe Montana. Now, there may be a Tom Brady. And if he wins this fifth Super Bowl, I think now you got to start comparing him and Joe Montana. But Joe was just the most special guy. And what I learned from Joe Montana was it wasn't about just being good in games. Every single pass in practice was dead on. Dead on. So that taught me a lot.
And Marty, actually, getting back to your former coach, and I know unfortunately right now he's going through a tough battle of his own, but with Marty, he came so close to actually beating the Patriots. If you remember in that playoff game,
absolutely.
Brady threw the pick. And then whoever, I forget who was returning it, but then Troy Brown punches out the football. Patriots get the ball back, and they end up winning the game. That was
you got 3 minutes left. You intercept the ball, fall down, protect the ball.
Obviously.
Why do you decide to try to return the ball? I don't think that's coaching. I think that's just a dumb move. And then the Patriots get the ball back and they win. But if that doesn't happen, Marty's in the playoffs. They fired Marty, and the Chargers have been in semi-disarray ever since.
No, they have. Is it unfortunate for you to see San Diego move?
It's just really sad when a community and the ownership can't get together. I've heard both sides of the story. I think it's ridiculous they didn't build a new stadium. It sounds like it was just too much financial burden on the community and perhaps a little bit too, shall we say, demanding on the part of ownership. But gosh, why don't you find a way? I don't think the Chargers are going to find a better place. I don't think going up to Irvine is going to be at a better place. I don't think going to Las Vegas is going to be a better place. So I hope it's turned around because San Diego is the place for the Chargers.
Nick, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.